Some believe receiving the death penalty or even a life sentence is inhumane, even for adults. But when a child gets shot inside of a courtroom, one might begin to question if it's too excessive punishment. However, these aren't ordinary kids committing petty theft or cheating on their tests in school.
We began to prove our allegiance to Satan. So we did a ritual, a lust ritual one night. Blood completely splattered on the opposite wall.
The crimes of these kids resemble the plot of a horror movie, their actions brutal and with a disturbing absence of remorse.
Satan pulled the trigger, the killer's son now masturbates to memory.
Whether influenced by voices in their heads, worshipping demons, or simply displaying psychopathic tendencies, these children will make you reconsider any inclination to feel sympathy for them. Sean Dole Jackson. In Milwaukee, the courtroom turned into a scene of chaos as officers struggled to contain Sean Dole Jackson, a young man who had just been handed a life sentence for murder. The air was charged with tension and the sharp odor of pepper spray as Jackson's reaction to the judge's decision erupted into violence. This was not an ordinary sentencing, but the end of a harrowing saga that began with the tragic death of Nathan Potter, an aspiring filmmaker whose life was tragically cut short during a robbery. Nathan Potter, 21, was a student at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee with dreams of making it big in the film industry. These dreams were shattered one night in July when Jackson and his associate Derek J. Thomas targeted him. Desperate for money, they planned to rob Potter. Armed with a .45 caliber handgun, they thought a local bar on Duckman Street would have cash-laden patrons. However, when Potter couldn't give them money, Jackson shot him, ending his life over a failed robbery attempt. As Potter's family walked into the courtroom, their faces showed the deep sorrow of their loss. The prosecution presented a powerful and emotional case, illustrating how Jackson and Thomas planned and executed the robbery. After the botched robbery, the two retreated to Thomas's home and tried to escape the gravity of their actions by immersing themselves in video games, a stark contrast to the violence they had just committed. Judge Rebecca Dallett was ready to deliver the sentence when Jackson's lawyer, Patrick Earle, made a final plea for leniency, emphasizing Jackson's youth and impulsive nature. But the seriousness of the crime overshadowed these arguments. When the life sentence without parole was announced, Jackson exploded with rage, hurling obscenities at Judge Dallett. It required 3 officers and Detective James Hutchinson to restrain him, with pepper spray being used to bring the situation under control. Potter's family held on to each other, their tears silently expressing their ongoing grief. In contrast, Jackson's family reacted with anger, shouting, "I hate you," and other hostile remarks at the judge, intensifying the already tense atmosphere. This sentencing was not just a legal formality, but a raw display of the emotional devastation caused by the crime to all involved. T.J. Lane. When T.J. Lane entered the courtroom for his trial, his unrepentant demeanor was unmistakable. Wearing a white t-shirt emblazoned with the word "killer," he made a provocative statement that highlighted the horror of his actions.
Satan pulled the trigger, the killer's son now masturbates to memory.
TJ's early life was tumultuous, marked by instability within his family. His father, Thomas Lane Jr., had a history of violence and incarceration, particularly against women, including TJ's mother. This toxic environment led to TJ and his siblings being placed in foster care, shattering what should have been a normal childhood. Eventually, his grandparents took him in, providing some stability, but the scars of his early years lingered. At Chardon High School, TJ was known as a quiet, reserved student, often keeping to himself. He did not share much about his troubled home life and remained on the fringes of social groups. The families of his victims, already devastated by their loss, were further distressed by his blatant display of defiance in court. As TJ transitioned to Lake Academy Alternative School, troubling signs began to emerge. The once quiet child began exhibiting signs of inner turmoil. A particularly disturbing piece of writing appeared on social media, penned by TJ. "I am death, and you have always been the sod. Now feel death, not just mocking you, not just stalking you, but inside of you." This grim message, posted 2 months before the shooting, was a stark departure from the TJ his peers thought they knew. The warning went largely unnoticed, a cry lost in the vast expanse of the internet. Those who knew him struggled to reconcile the withdrawn teenager with the ominous persona emerging from his online presence. On the morning of February 27, 2012, around 7:30 a.m., TJ Lane entered Chardon High School's cafeteria armed with a gun. He knew the area would be crowded before classes started and opened fire, hitting 5 male students and 1 female student before fleeing. By the end of his shooting spree, 3 students were dead and 2 were seriously injured. Lane's behavior during the sentencing hearing was shockingly brazen. Turning to face the families of his victims, he uttered vile, profane words that would forever be etched in the memories of those present. His voice, dripping with contempt, declared, "This hand that pulled the trigger that killed your sons now masturbates to the memory. Fuck all of you." The courtroom was aghast, the raw vulgarity of his statement casting a dark shadow over the proceedings. The judge, unfazed by Lane's provocations, delivered a resolute sentence. T.J. Lane received 3 life sentences, one for each of the lives he had taken, with no possibility of parole. Justice, in its finality, was served. Sierra Halseth and Aaron Guerrero.
No bleeding this time. We got through that. We overcame.
In Las Vegas, a teenage romance took a dark turn, leading to a crime that left the community in shock. Sierra Halseth and Aaron Guerrero, young lovers, became central figures in a chilling investigation that revealed a sinister and brutal plot. The murder of Sierra's father, Daniel Halseth, and the subsequent legal proceedings unfolded like a grim drama, captivating the city. Daniel Halseth was dedicated to his family, his music, and his IT career. However, behind this seemingly perfect exterior lay a history of family turmoil. His marriage to Elizabeth ended after 11 years, marked by allegations of domestic abuse, resulting in a bitter divorce and custody battle. Daniel found solace in his children, especially his youngest, Sierra. But Sierra's teenage years took a dark turn when she fell in love with Aaron Guerrero, an 18-year-old with a rebellious nature. Their relationship began in June 2020 and quickly became problematic. Daniel forbade Sierra from seeing Aaron, not realizing this decision would ignite a chain of deadly events. The tension reached its peak on April 8, 2021, when Sierra and Aaron, driven by defiance and dark intentions, embarked on a shopping spree to purchase tools and accelerants for a heinous act. After Daniel's murder, the couple used his credit cards recklessly, leaving a trail that would lead to their capture. The details of the murder were gruesome. Daniel Halseth had been stabbed over 70 times, his body stuffed into a sleeping bag, with attempts to dismember it using a chainsaw and circular saw before setting it on fire. His body was found in his garage, a testament to the brutality inflicted. The investigation revealed Daniel's disapproval of Sierra's relationship as a potential catalyst for the murder. It wasn't just physical evidence that implicated Sierra and Aaron. A disturbing video surfaced, showing them joking about the murder with chilling indifference.
Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Day 3 after murdering somebody.
Wow! Don't put that on camera.
It was worth it.
This grotesque recording became key evidence. As they faced trial, the gravity of their actions was undeniable. Sierra read a letter in court detailing allegations of abuse by her father, which, while shocking, did not absolve her of responsibility. Aaron expressed remorse, acknowledging the horror of their actions and apologizing to Daniel's family. The court sentenced both to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 22 years, underscoring the severe consequences of their actions and the devastating impact on all involved. Aiden Fucci. On Mother's Day, May 9, 2021, the tranquil community of St. Johns County, Florida, was rocked by a horrifying act of violence that shattered the celebratory spirit of the day. The brutal murder of 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, a cheerleader at Patriot Oaks Academy, sent shockwaves through the community and across the nation. The assailant was 14-year-old Aiden Fucci, a fellow student and neighbor of Bailey. The sequence of events leading to the discovery of Bailey's body unfolded swiftly and horrifically. On the morning of May 9th, Tristan was reported missing by her family, prompting an immediate search. Her body was found later that day in a wooded area near her home, having been stabbed 114 times, a level of brutality that stunned even the most experienced investigators. The crime scene left no doubt about the ferocity of the attack. Aiden Fucci quickly emerged as the prime suspect. Surveillance footage showed Fucci and Bailey walking together near the site where her body was found. Further investigation revealed incriminating evidence against Fucci. A blood-stained buck knife, matching the wounds inflicted on Bailey, was recovered from a nearby pond. Additional forensic evidence, including blood-stained clothing and shoes found in Fucci's bedroom, painted a chilling picture of premeditated, cold-blooded murder. As the case unfolded, it became apparent that the crime was a calculated act rather than a spontaneous outburst. Fucci had a history of troubling behavior, including drawing disturbing images and making threatening statements. These findings were presented during the trial, portraying a teenager with dark fantasies who acted on them with devastating consequences. The courtroom proceedings were a harrowing experience for Tristan Bailey's family and the community. Fucci's demeanor throughout the trial was unsettling. He displayed little to no emotion, maintaining a calm and detached appearance that starkly contrasted with the brutality of his actions. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and his guilty plea to first-degree murder further solidified the case. In February 2023, just before jury selection for his trial, Fucci changed his plea to guilty, thereby avoiding a lengthy trial, but not the consequences of his actions. The court sentenced Aiden Fucci to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, underscoring the severity of his crime and the danger he posed to society. The case of Aiden Fucci serves as a grim reminder of the potential for extreme violence in young individuals and the profound impact such acts have on the victims' families and communities. Tristan Bailey's tragic death and Fucci's subsequent life sentence brought painful closure to a case that highlighted the darkest aspects of human behavior. Austin Myers. In the heart of America, the tragic story of a teenage boy's fall from a typical friend to a cold-blooded killer unfolded. Austin Myers, a troubled young man, was about to cross a line that would change his life forever. His former middle school friend, Justin Back, a recent graduate of Waynesville High School, was blissfully unaware of the looming danger. Back, full of patriotic aspirations, was eagerly preparing to join the Navy. But fate had a different plan, one orchestrated by someone he once trusted. The story took a dark turn when 18-year-old Myers, who had just lost his job, reached out to 19-year-old Timothy Mosley with a desperate plan. They conspired to rob Justin Back's stepfather, convinced that a fortune lay hidden in the family safe. However, upon finding Justin at home, their plan turned deadly. The decision to murder Justin was premeditated and ruthless. After unsuccessful attempts to procure drugs and syringes, Austin and Timothy returned to Justin's home under the guise of friendship. They watched a movie with him, waiting for the right moment to strike. When the moment came, Justin was attacked by Timothy, while Austin assisted. Justin's final moments were filled with confusion and terror, with Austin falsely reassuring him that it would soon be over. After the murder, Austin and Timothy ransacked the house in search of the safe. Unable to open it, they took the safe, some jewelry and credit cards, then wrapped Justin's body in a blanket and placed it in the trunk of Timothy's car. They attempted to clean the crime scene with ammonia before leaving around 2 p.m. While driving, Timothy, paranoid about being followed, took side roads to a remote area. There they hid Justin's body behind a log in a field near the village of Gratis in Preble County. Austin poured ammonia and septic enzymes on the corpse and fired 2 shots into Justin's body. The gun jammed on the 3rd shot, but Austin cleared it, leaving a bullet that the police would later find. Austin then suggested they kill Justin's stepfather to make it look like he had killed Justin and fled. Deciding against this, they drove to a park in Brookville where Timothy discarded Justin's laptop in a dumpster. They bought a crowbar in Englewood and returned to Timothy's house to open the safe. Instead of the $20,000 Austin had promised, the safe contained paperwork, loose change, bullets, and other random items. The brutal murder of Justin Back led to an intense investigation. Justin's stepfather returned home to find the house burglarized and his son missing. A distinctive car, seen earlier at the Back residence with a missing back window covered in plastic and red tape, became a crucial lead. Detectives traced the car to Austin Myers, who had visited the Back home the day before. Warren County Sheriff's detectives relentlessly pursued the case, eventually locating the car and detaining Austin at a friend's house. Initially claiming ignorance, Austin was brought in for questioning. His story unraveled as detectives gathered evidence. Under interrogation, Austin admitted to being present during the murder, but initially denied direct involvement. His accomplice, Timothy Mosley, hearing Austin's version, decided to confess, implicating Austin further. Confronted with this, Austin confessed to his role in the murder, including buying the materials used in the crime. Guided by Austin's directions, authorities discovered Justin Back's body, confirming their worst fears. An autopsy by the Montgomery County coroner revealed multiple stab wounds. The public was shocked to learn that Timothy, who wielded the knife, would avoid the death penalty due to a plea bargain, while Austin, the mastermind, faced the ultimate punishment. The trial and sentencing of Austin Myers drew national attention. At 19, Austin was sentenced to death on October 17, 2014, making him the youngest inmate on Ohio's death row. The murder of Justin Back led to calls for harsher penalties for murder in Ohio, resulting in the introduction of Justin's Law. Austin now awaits execution at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution, while Timothy serves a life sentence without parole at the Ross Correctional Institution.